Alright, what's going on, you guys? So this last week I put up on my Instagram that I was going to do a Q&A for YouTube on competing. I said it could be about my prep specifically, or it could be about competing in general. I got a lot of good questions actually, so I'm really excited to do this video now. I think I'm just gonna read them, and if I butcher your Instagram name, I'm sorry. So my fit page asked, if you have two shows, say 2 weeks apart, how do you spend show night after the show? Everyone is going to be having treats and going out, but obviously you want to stay on track for your next show. My answer to this is don't go crazy, but go have something. Because one, you just spent the week depleting probably, so your body will actually probably need everything you're going to have. And two, you just competed and you want to be able to enjoy it. So don't go crazy. Go have a burger and fries and maybe a small dessert, or just go have a small dessert or something. Treat yourself, just don't go overboard, and you will be bloated the next day from it probably, but if you get right back on track, you will work that off and you will probably come in looking better for your next show actually. Fitness by Alicia, I love her, asked, how do your workouts and rep ranges change when you're in prep? Do you have any lifting days more plyo based? My rep ranges change by just getting a little bit higher throughout the prep. So this isn't my like exact plan here, but just for example, say I started in like a 5 to 7 rep range. After a couple weeks, it'll jump to like 8 to 10, then 10 to 12, 12 to 15, and so on. And by the end of prep, they are kind of high, but I do still keep some days where I'm lifting heavier and my rep ranges don't go up that high. So you have to find a nice mix. And then plyo based, I use plyo-based workouts as like another bullet in my gun. So when I start getting closer and my legs aren't landing out that much, that's when I'll start adding more plyo-based stuff to be able to burn some extra calories. A lot of times, like say if I'm doing arms, I would do my normal arm workout, and then 3 or 4 times throughout that workout, I would go do the battle ropes just to burn some extra calories, get my heart rate a little bit higher. But I don't necessarily have like a plyo-based day put into my like workout plan, if that makes sense. Devin Porter 1422, he is a friend from the gym. He said, this sounds like a stupid question, but how do you maintain having a good smile while posing hard on stage? I went to Border Clash in Aiken this past weekend and saw how many of the female competitors had great smiles while posing, and it really stood out to me. That is all going to come down to practicing, because it's actually a lot harder than it looks. You're focusing on so many things, so many different muscles, so many different angles being perfect, that sometimes you forget to smile. So you have to practice it over and over again. The higher up you get, like from bikini to figure, figure to physique, and so on, it's going to be even harder because you have to flex harder. That's a good question actually. Drew asked, why don't you save calories and combine water with cereal on prep? Because I'm not Satan. He put up an Instagram story of him putting water in his Fruity Pebbles and it looked terrible. That's why he asked. Don't do that. My friend from back home asked, do you personally take anything to assist in fat loss? Burners, thermogenics, water pills prior to stage, cleanse, or all natural? Be honest. Talk about pressures and if you know people who take shit not over the counter. Be real, we need more of it. Also, did my cycle get affected? So I personally am a natural athlete. I have not ever and do not plan to use any performance enhancing drugs. This is a touchy subject, so to each their own, but my opinion is I don't want to do that for a couple different reasons. One of them being I don't want somebody to see my physique, know I took those things, and feel like they have to too. Also, I just prefer to keep my body kind of a little cleaner than that. But I haven't Jess. But I personally have nothing against them, especially because I choose to compete in the IFBB, which is an untested federation. So something that grinds my gears is somebody who complains about having to compete against people who aren't natural. If you want to compete against natural athletes, compete in a natural federation. Plain and simple. Anybody who does take performance enhancing drugs, they still work just as hard as we do. The only difference is those drugs are going to help them with their hard work. They still put in the work, they still do everything we do. It's just It's a helper. I don't know how else to put it. I don't plan to ever take it personally, but that's my take on it. It is a little bit more common than you would think, even in bikini, but you don't need it. Will it help? Absolutely. Will it make that journey a little quicker? Absolutely, but you can do it naturally. You don't need those things. I had a lot of people tell me over and over again, if you want to turn pro, you're gonna need to start taking Clen, you're gonna need to take, there's a lot of names that I don't even know. But the point is, I did it naturally, even when people told me I couldn't. So you don't need them, but I have nothing against people who do decide to take them. And seriously, don't complain about, oh, well, she's on something, so of course she did better than me. If you don't like it, go compete in OCB or WBFF. If that's what you want to do, more power to you. But NPC and IFBB are the most respected, are the most watched. They are the most public of the federations for a reason. And part of that is because you have the performance enhancing drugs to make people look better. So it's the best of the best, plain and simple. Oh, and fat loss. Fat burners, I take Royal 21 from Phorm. I am very caffeine sensitive, so I can only take half of the dose at a time. I can't even take a full serving. She also asked if my cycle got affected, and my answer is yes, but that was when I was having my marina experience, so everything was just really messed up from the marina. I don't know if prep had a role to play in that, but a lot of people do get their cycles messed up. So yeah, I don't have an answer right now. Before this last prep, my cycle was never affected, but I had also never gotten as lean as I had to get last year. So wow, I'm gonna butcher this. Okay, Molly Iwanika. Sorry, that's terrible. She said, why do you do bikini comps? I don't mean this in a rude way. I just know many competitors have their own certain reasons for doing it. I started because I was in the gym anyway and I loved it and I wanted to take it to the next level. I didn't know if I wanted to compete in bodybuilding or start powerlifting, but I had a friend who wanted to get into coaching, so he offered to coach me for free to get into it, and from there I just fell absolutely in love with it, and now I couldn't imagine doing anything else. Competing for me is a way to push myself past limits I thought I had, and I love that. I've learned so much about myself competing. I've learned how strong I can be. I've learned so much about willpower and discipline and having to put things first when you don't want to. So I wouldn't change it for anything, and I want to see how much better I can make myself. So that's why I compete, in very, very simple terms. I like your name. Ludacris MC asked, why/how did you choose your coach? Currently needing guidance as a first-time competitor. She actually had a couple other questions, but I am going to start there. So I found my coach by looking at other people that I respected in the industry and seeing who their coach was, and then doing more research, you know, watching what content he put out, looking at how his clients were doing, and all of them were doing really well and doing good things. And then, you know, so I reached out to him. When we talked, we vibed really well. I decided his price was right for me, and once I started working with him, I just knew it was a good fit. He was very intelligent. He worked with me well. When we met in person, it solidified it more, and he's just an all-around good person. I actually have a video where I talked about finding a good coach. It was called Competing Smarter. I will link it down below, so make sure you watch it. Paul fits everything that I said in that video, so definitely take a look at it. Ludacris MC also asked, which type of supplements do you consider to be necessary during prep? I'm gonna make a supplement video, but the biggest ones I say during prep would be a multivitamin and green supplement to keep digestion moving well, making sure you're getting all your micronutrients even as your food's going down. From there, I do creatine, BCAAs, and the rest of them I will put in a video coming up soon, but those are my two biggest ones that I suggest for not just competition prep, but for lifestyle clients too, but especially in competition prep, you need to make sure you're getting those micronutrients. So those would be my number one things. I will link below Phorm's Microfactor and Greens product that I take personally. Ludacris MC also asked, what were big changes for you going into prep compared to your off season? The structure, mostly, you know, during off season, it's easy to guesstimate and not worry too much, and like the switch to like having to be on point 100% of the time, having to make extra time for cardio. It's more of a mental switch than anything. It's like just being in the zone, being ready to go. It usually takes me actually like around 2 weeks to feel like, okay, well, I'm dieting, this is what we're doing, I have to make sacrifices. That's the hardest change for me. My friend Jamie asked, how do you feel going into the pro circuit now? Scary, challenging? I'm terrified. I'm really excited because it's kind of what I've been dreaming about since I started competing, but it's really scary to go from, you know, consistently placing well, being at the top of a small pond to now being at the bottom of a really big pond. So I'm really nervous, but I'm really excited. I'm afraid I didn't grow as much as I should have, of course, but the only way to find out is to go compete, get feedback. I'm really nervous, but I'm really, really excited. Sarah Ford asked, time-saving meal prep tips and budgeting, saving money on meal prep and competition costs. For meal prep, if you're gonna go through a meal prep service, it's gonna be expensive. I don't do it because I simply can't afford to. I would love to be able to do bite meals or icon meals. I love both of them, but I can't afford to right now. So what I do is usually 2 days a week, whatever days I have off, I sit down and I meal prep for 4 or 5 days at a time. I just go, I buy a big bag of chicken, of beef, rice, some potatoes, and I make 2 to 3 meals for every single day, so I could just pop them in the microwave and go just like I would a meal prep service. And then I usually make my breakfast day of, and then I have yogurts and Power Crunch bars as another meal. It sucks, it's time consuming, but you're gonna save a lot of money doing that. So I definitely suggest it. Let me know if you guys would wanna see a meal prep video, how I meal prep for a couple days at a time. I would actually really like to film that if you guys wanna see it. All right, Hope Tay Love asked, what body fat percentage did you finish with on stage? What is the best advice you give to someone for their first prep and competition? Any tips or tricks that would help? I actually got my body fat percentage tested by Body Spec right before Pacific USA's. I got down to, I believe, 11.2 body fat percentage, which is really low for a female. I do think this year, hopefully I've grown enough that I can maybe come in around the same and still look a little bit leaner, if that makes sense. So it is low. You do have to push pretty low sometimes. Some people, what they look best at is a little bit different for everybody, but to get on the national level and do well, you do have to get pretty low. My advice for first-time competitors is just know what you're getting into. Watch videos of other people's preps and watch the videos where they talk about the hard stuff, not just the videos where they talk about the good stuff, because prep is always going to be hard. You're going to get down to hard times. You're going to have to push. It's going to be a struggle, and you need to know beforehand. So when you start to struggle, you're not like, I didn't sign up for this, oh my God. After that, once you know what you're getting into, my advice is to enjoy it. If your mindset is always, you know, oh, this sucks, this is hard, I'm hungry, you're not gonna enjoy it as much as if you're like excited about progress, excited about getting closer to the stage. So find ways to enjoy everything about prep, and it feels long while you're doing it, but it's over in a blink of an eye. So make sure you enjoy the whole thing. Ella Bella Fit asked, what kind of advice would you give to someone who is thinking about competing but knows very little bit about the sport? Same thing. Watch videos, talk to competitors. You can find out a lot through YouTube. A lot of competitors like to document their stories, so start watching their YouTube during cardio. Zoe Galil, I'm sorry, I probably said that wrong. She asked, how long have you been training before you decided to compete for the first time? So I had been training for a few years. I think I'd been training for like 2.5. There's no exact number, but you are going to compete in the sport of bodybuilding, and a lot of people think bikini is just about getting skinny. It's not. If you want to do well, you have to have muscle. So I definitely suggest spending time in a caloric surplus, building muscle before you decide to cut to get stage lean. If you're not eating enough, you're not going to put on the kind of muscle you need to be competitive. So I'd say one of my biggest questions I got was just like tips and tricks for first-time competitors, and I have a million. It's really hard unless you ask like specifically a tip for something, but the few that come to mind right away is one, spend good money on your makeup or your makeup artist. That is a huge part of your presentation, of your total package. 2, get a suit that you love. You want to feel extremely confident on stage. I think it's better to wait a little bit, save a little extra, and get the suit of your dreams rather than just getting a random suit. You want to feel great on stage. It's gonna aid in your presentation. Also, tan, be careful. It's a lot easier to mess up than you're gonna think. You're thinking of a spray tan that you would go get out of like a machine that is pretty hard to mess up. These are not. You get 1 drop of water and you have a watermark on your arm. Be careful. And always, if they offer something like for extra money you can get touch-ups for free, do it, because you're probably gonna need it. Don't tan your face. Spray tan is for body only, and actually you want your face to be, I believe the most common is 2 shades lighter on your face than on your body, and that's because of the way the lights hit you. And being that dark on your face as you are on your body, you'll see is gonna look really, really weird. So know that for makeup, and to tell your makeup artist. I do suggest it's smarter to go with somebody who knows stage makeup already than going with just a random makeup artist, because it's extremely different than any simple basic everyday makeup. So again, that's where I say spend extra money. If you're going to a national show, be ready to be on point for 2 days, because it's harder than 1, and it's like you're used to probably doing a show for 1 day where it's 1 day of extremely long, hard work, and then you get to treat yourself. National show days, you have to get through the full first day and then the full second day, so be ready for that. And any other tips and tricks, I would kind of need you to tell me specifically what you are questioning, and I could help you with that. So feel free to leave that in the comments if you want. I will answer any comments I get. Thank you guys for watching. I don't know, I think I'm gonna do a personal Q&A too soon, because I actually got more people who said that they would like to see that over a competing one. More people said that they would like to see that than I thought they would. So I'm thinking about doing that one soon. Stay tuned for that. That's all I got for you. Make sure you like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.